Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Got a little bit of sprinkling rain happening right now, but I think the big rain probably will hold off till around midnight or so is what it looks like. Some areas west of here are going to be getting some pretty significant rains. Well over 4 inches, 6 inches, maybe 8 inches. There's already flood warnings out here. I think probably 2 to 4 inches is what they're saying, which is still pretty good. I mean, it definitely raises the creeks up and everything. But if you're in the path of that, there's calling for some thunderstorms. I don't think, at least the way it's looking right now, that it's going to be terribly severe. But they've manipulated the weather so much here lately. Who knows what we're going to get? I mean, it's getting crazy with the weather patterns. So anyways, speaking of crazy, I thought we would get a walk on the crazy side. Some of you enjoy these topics when I do this, and some of you think it's ridiculous, but I don't know, just thought it'd be fun. It's Friday, the weekend's ahead, Shabbat for many of us. So do you see that a bunch of celebrity women went up into space and just got back? I guess, they went up there and then they came back down. They were really only up, according to, based on what we're told, they were only up there for just a few minutes. But it was, this big dramatic thing. They get back down, they're kissing the ground and everything. And there's been a lot of media, social media, calling them out as fakes and liars because there's been just little weird, quirky things that happened that makes it look quite fake. But they're still saying that they did it and that it was this great thing and that it's paving the way for civilian space travel, that the average person eventually will be able to go up there. It's expensive now. Only the important people can go, like celebrities. But eventually the average person can go. And so there's this almost a new space race along with the technological race. But I think that it's not so much about technology. I think it's about, for years, for decades, our government, pretty much all governments, have had almost a no comment policy when it comes to outer space and what's really out there and aliens and all this kind of stuff. And now they talk about it openly. And there's all this stuff that I think it was just the other day, NASA stated that they found what they believe is life on another planet based on the gases that are, hovering around the planet, that it looks like that there's some sort of life. They're not sure if it's intelligent, of course, but that there's probably life on that planet, meaning that they finally discovered that humans are not alone in the universe. And there's been, like I said, a lot of talk over the last year or two openly admitting that there's these alien life forms flying around in flying saucers, and the government interacts with them at times, and people do, and it's not, weather balloons, and it's not, gas coming out of a, cow's rear end and stuff. And there's been other things, just a couple of weeks ago, the CIA released documents claiming that they know where the Ark of the Covenant is. There's been some other things, strange things. And it's weird that all of a sudden this stuff is getting exposed, right? The Russians are saying now that they're going to go to the moon. And Elon Musk wants us to go to Mars. He says we're going to go to Mars in just a few years. He's sending up all these spaceships and satellites, and we're going to go to Mars, and we're going to, colonize it and all this kind of stuff. And I know some of you believe it's not real. Some of you believe that space isn't real. And then none of that to me at this point is that matters. It's not necessarily the debate. The debate that I'm trying to get across, or what I'm trying to say is that kind of the narrative has changed when it comes to this. And I think it's definitely for a purpose. I think that they're trying to change our concept of what's really going on. Before, some people believed that there were aliens and spaceships and stuff, but most people didn't. And now that they're kind of coming out and sort of admitting, or at least claiming that there's stuff out there, it's changing that. And I think this falls much in line. And I know some of you are going to roll your eyes at this one. But I think it's much in line with what I talked about the other day, that their overall goal is to separate us from God, to separate us from our Creator, separate us from our Savior, Yeshua. They want to separate us from that. And they have to kind of dehumanize us. That's what all this synthetic stuff and all the self-replicating nanobots that they're poking into people, and the fake foods and the digital everything. And along with that is that we're not alone out here, and that there's all these aliens, and that we're going to have all this technology. Just this week, the Trump administration and Donald Trump himself has indicated that the government is in possession of some very, very highly advanced top secret technology. In fact, one article posted on the White House website said that they have the capacity to control space and time. I mean, that's just kind of crazy. And they claim they have it. Are they going to claim that they got it from aliens? I don't know. And so the story is, what's being kind of spoken about at the White House, is that the president wants to start releasing this very highly advanced technology to the American people. He wants to turn it over, allow it to be used and not to be kept secret. And I think that this is all part of this plan to advance us rapidly technologically. Digital everything, supercomputers, quantum computing, digital money, digital identification, little robots doing all your chores and taking care of you and having relationships with you, and autonomous cars and flying vehicles, and all of your health needs will be taken care of by these little artificial intelligent robots that get put into your body. This is the world that's being developed. And because we're doing that, we have to admit now that, there's aliens and there's life on other planets, and that we're going to go live on other planets. And I think it's just more of the narrative. And it's much more subliminal, I think, than what a lot of people expect. And, there's I see tons and tons of Christians, believers that are, embracing artificial intelligence and arguing in favor for it, that it's a great thing. It's gonna fix a lot of this stuff. And the mRNA pokey poke stuff is great. It's better than all the other pharmaceutical stuff that they've done in the past, because this is going to fix everything. It's going to be like Star Trek or something like that. And I don't think that many people are stopping long enough. Same thing with, digital currency and digital ID and highly advanced supercomputers. I don't think a lot of people are really stopping very long to think about this. Yes, this technology, if used properly, could do a lot of great things for human society. But when's the last time stuff was really used properly? I mean, nuclear technology, if used properly, can do a lot of great things. We could have endless amounts of energy on this planet, but it's also used to destroy things. Cell phones, smartphones, internet, great technology if it's used properly, but it's obviously misused constantly. And I don't have enough faith in any political leader, regardless of what party they are, or the name that they have. I don't have enough faith in them, enough trust in them to use these types of technologies properly. We're getting into a different age. We hear that a lot here lately, a golden era, a golden age. And to me, it's just wrapped up in a different new package of New World Order and Great Reset. And I don't think a lot of people are picking up on this. And I think that this alien thing, this space travel stuff, I think it's just one more way of trying to prove to the world that God's not alive, he doesn't exist, he's dead, he's not the same person you think he is. Or it's this person, this peacemaker that's come to the earth to to bring about peace and harmony. This is our God, right? Let's set him at Solomon's throne over on King David's, throne. Let's set him there. Yes, this is the person we worship, right? The Bible talks about this kind of stuff. And we have to be aware of it and be cautious. I'm not saying that all technology is bad. I'm not saying the people that are in power are all evil, necessarily. I'm saying that I think that there's a definite narrative going on to constantly expose us to more and more technology, advancement, space travel, aliens, all this kind of stuff, because it desensitizes us. We become used to it. And so when the next thing that gets unveiled, it's a little less shocking. If they did this kind of stuff 20, 30 years ago, people would be shocked at it. But we've become accustomed to it now. And little by little, it erodes away, that shock to where people are okay with it. And I think that's what we're seeing happen. Yeah, I definitely believe that the whole celebrity women going up into space was pretty fake. But it's all for purpose. It's all to normalize this kind of stuff. Remember the new normal? Well, that's still happening, folks. Just because we have a different president doesn't mean that went away. It's still happening. We're still being exposed to the new normal. And we need to be cautious and prepared for it, because these kinds of things can be very deceiving. I mean, they have technology now, potentially, that they could make things look like miracles happen, or that people fall out of the sky, or all of that kind of stuff. And so we have to be prepared and pray for discernment, because we do not want to be deceived by the great deceiver. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.